Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, audience. My name is surni ahyatul fitri. Here I'd like to deliver my persuasive speech on question of policy with title Sex Education Should Be Taught to Children Start from Elementary School Age. To begin the speech, let me ask you a question. How precious do you think children are? Yes, they are worth of life. They need a safe place to live. They are so innocent and they get manipulated so easily by bad people out there. Children being harassed but they don't know what is actually happening to them because they are lack of knowledge about that. That is why I think that sex education is important and it should be taught to children start from elementary school age. According to the data of the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection in 2022, in Indonesia, there are more than 3,800 children under the age of 12 being sexually abused by child predator. Ladies and gentlemen, first, let's talk about what is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is any sexual acts or contains sexual elements that makes a person feel uncomfortable, intimidated, or afraid. Sexual abuse or sex abuse also reverts to as molestation is abusive sexual behavior by one person upon another. Now let's move on to the definition of what is sex education. Sex education is the instruction of issues relating to human sexuality, including emotional relation and responsibility, human sexual anatomy, sexual activity, sexual reproduction, age of consent, reproductive health, reproductive rights, sexual health, safe sex, and birth control. In Indonesia, talking to children about their body, sexuality and stuff is very taboo. Most of parents think that elementary age is not the age to teach children, to tell children about sex education. But ladies and gentlemen, now let's see the dangers and the effects of sexual abuse when it happens to children. The first one, it can harm children's body. Second one, it can cause trauma to children, and the trauma will last forever. And the last one, the most fatal one, that it can cause to death. Ladies and gentlemen, when strangers touch children's private body, but most children don't know what actually happening to them. So they just shut and they keep it for themselves. They don't tell their parents, and it makes the child predator out there feel free to harass every children. And this world become not a safe place anymore for children to live. We all know that children have lack of knowledge about sex. When they are harassed, they don't tell it, they don't share it, they just keep it for themselves. That's why I think that taught children about sex at the very young age is important because when this thing happen, they can tell, they can share to their parents. I will let you know another reason why we need to implement sex education to children at a very young age. The first reason here is sexual abuser don't look at age when they are carrying out their action. Either you are children, you are teenager, you are an adult, they don't see at your age. They don't look at your age when they are carrying out their action. And the second one is children often being targeted. As I said before that the lack of knowledge of children about sex, they're often being targeted by child predator. And the last one here is because of they are innocent. Why I say they are innocent? Because when they get harassed, they don't tell their parents because they don't know what is actually happening to them. That's why we need to teach them, we need to let them know about sex at a very young age. After we know the effects to children and the reason why we should implement sex education to children, now the biggest question here is how can we implement this? How to implement this on children at a very young age, on elementary school age? Here I have three ways on how to teach sex education to children at a very young age. The first one here is teaching them anatomy correctly about their body parts. Don't refer their body part as something else. Tell them what is actually the anatomy names of their body parts. And number two here is teach them about boundaries. Boundaries, such as things about their bodies that is only them can see that other people cannot see that. And the last one here is children have big curiosity. They are curious about so many things. What if they ask about something like how's baby made and how to answer that? As an adult, as a teacher, how can we answer that? We can tell them by a story. For example, a story on how they were born. We can tell them to answer the question of how's baby made. And that is three ways on how can we implement sex education to children at a very young age. In conclusion, as we have seen so many sexual abuse cases happen in Indonesia, and unfortunately sex education is still a taboo thing in Indonesia, we need to make sex education not as a taboo thing anymore. This is to protect our children, to give them a safe place to live, and to give them a knowledge about the world out there. That's all for me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.